Hey, gorgeous soul. Welcome to another juicy, joy-fueled episode of Live Your Best Laugh. This is a little juicy, Brucey bonus one, which I hadn't planned to record, but on the back of the most incredible day yesterday, celebrating a dear friend, Simon's book launch, I just felt really compelled to share this episode. It was such a wonderful event of celebration, and it was such confirmation of this is what's possible. This is what's possible when you keep taking the steps and moving forward and like having big, bold, brave steps, and I really reflected on the journey home of where I'd first met Simon, and there was lots of people in the room who I'd been connected with since I started my own business. And I had so many thoughts kind of like washing through me. If I hadn't left teaching, I wouldn't have been at that event yesterday. I wouldn't have been speaking to the people that I was speaking to. Like there's such a ton of stuff that like never, like literally never would have happened. But I think the biggest thing is um like where we first connected. And that was on retreat in Mykonos almost 3 years ago as I record this. And again, I just like, would that have come through to me if I hadn't been taking the steps I was taking? I don't know. I don't know. So in May 2022, I went on retreat to Mykonos. It was a Ashworth retreat. It was a luxury retreat. And I had an awful lot of like, who the fuck am I to be on this retreat going on? I'd been gifted it the year before by an absolutely beautiful soul, and it had been delayed for many different reasons, COVID being like the key protagonist in this. And yeah, it came to me at a time just after I'd lost my dad. And yeah, it was like really beautifully received and really perfectly timed. And it happened, I think it was a good year after that I ended up going on the retreat. And I remember like sitting in this expansive, beautiful villa. We'd stayed at a really average hotel the night before, which was much more in my comfort zone. So interesting to reflect back on. It was quite shabby, but I felt quite at home there, right? And then we went into this luxury villa with like, pools and bedrooms and shit like that. And I was like, what the hell am I doing here? I was literally riddled with imposter syndrome. In fact, before I'd even left, I remember feeling absolutely terrified about going because, you know, like I didn't deserve to be there. In my eyes, I didn't deserve to be there. I hadn't earned it. I hadn't paid for it. I hadn't invested in it myself. I'd been gifted it, you know, and there's many that would look at that and be like, well, that's the bigger value, right? Because that's quite an incredible thing, isn't it? For someone to gift you a retreat, But I really struggled with, like accepting my space there. It was such a big lesson in receiving. It was such a big lesson in receiving. You know, I learned about a lot about myself just in that, like being able to graciously receive this enormous gift from a beautiful hearted soul, who I've never actually met in person, like, God, it was like incredible. But I arrived at this retreat full of I shouldn't be there. In fact, I remember the first thing I shared was I shouldn't be here. I feel really uncomfortable and I want to run for the hills because, all of you are supposed to be here, but I'm not. And it's so interesting, isn't it? Because it was only me that thought that. It was only me that made that decision. It was only me that decided that I didn't belong. No one else was measuring me. No one else was looking at me and thinking, who the fuck are you? What are you doing here? It was just me with like full on imposter syndrome and comparisonitis and, this whole kind of like, I don't deserve it story. Like, so interesting. And like, this is the power of being in community, being in collective energy, being in like, spaces where you like really look at what is being shown to you. And what was being shown to me is in certain spaces, it was okay and I was safe and I was enough, and I was worthy. And then in other spaces, not safe, not worthy. Oh, I'm not good enough for here. And when we run bullshit stories like that, then we absolutely are not being our full whole self. So whilst I thought my self belief was like pretty ingrained and pretty good, it turns out only in certain parameters, you know? And this is the thing, right? This is what I really, really learnt is self-belief is huge, right? We all know that. It's really important to believe in ourselves, really important to have that inner confidence. But actually, what goes way deeper and is far more powerful is self-belonging. And I hadn't fully owned that. And that is what shifted for me in the retreat. Like I really came to a place of self-belonging. And I decided that it's me who chooses to sit at the table, you know? Like I absolutely decided to let go of all those barriers and stop asking if it's okay and seeing if I'm worthy enough to take my seat at the table. It's like taking my seat at the table because I'm always enough, right? And that simple sentence, my God, it's complex, isn't it? I am always enough. God, how many times have you battled with that? How many times have you heard people you love battling with that? How many times have you witnessed people battling with it and not even fully being able to name and own it? I am always enough. A simple sentence, but God, it carries everything, doesn't it? It carries our whole selves. So, yeah, there was an awful lot of self reflection on the train yesterday on the way home because, like on retreat 3 years ago, when I went through many messy pieces over those few days, I really decided that I was enough no matter what. I decided that like the self-belonging piece was what I get to really look at. And it was safe for me to do that. It was safe for me to decide I belong. It was safe for me to take my seat at the table. It was safe for me to decide that I was worthy. And when we can come to that place of acceptance and allowance, my goodness me, it is huge. You know, like we're not here to go it alone. We're not here to be like solo creatures. And, when we are in like collaborative spaces, God, we can make incredible things happening. like we really can. Like I really believe in the power of collective energy. And my big kind of driver last year for my business, in fact, the words that I took into the start of 2024 were connection, community, and celebration. They are three areas that like are really ingrained in my soul about how my business gets to look and feel, because the collective vibration of the planet is really freaking important. And the more people that are willing to like stand up and shine a light on who they are and let that ripple out to others, like the more the better, the more the better, the more the better. It's like, let's all be part of this energetic shift, you know? Yeah, it's so important. It's like it's a real driver behind why I do what I do. And just recently, I have been like looking at my business and all the different kind of avenues and parts of it. And I was like, there's a missing piece, there's a missing piece, there's a missing piece. And I have literally just birthed the big shift, my new signature group program. And yeah, I feel this completeness with it, because she is something that was kind of missing in what I love to do. I love to build community. I love to work with that real connected energy and to bring people together to celebrate themselves and to celebrate others. And I believe more and more and more, like the more I do this work, that we need more of us. We need more heart-led leaders. We need more women with this real kind of passion and purpose that burns through their soul, that they know that they are here to do more and be more and feel more and create this deep impact. Like more of these voices need to be heard. So the big shift is the vessel for that to happen. And I'm really excited about her coming to the world, because like she will absolutely be guiding heart-led, incredible women who like have like so much to bring. Like, yeah, like they will it will just be like an opportunity to release limitations, like stand in your brilliance and thrive in all areas of life. And it's kind of, when I think about Mykonos those 3 years ago, you can get a ton done in like a all in being their space, in a retreat. And it's like it's kind of got that energy, but we're working through it as a 4 month transformative experience where we get to journey and everyone gets to journey together. And it's because, like I know how mind-blowingly impactful that was for my business. And what I know after Mykonos is that, that belonging decision and that I'm taking my seat at the table. I belong in all these spaces, that has rippled through everything I do. So, now when I do things which, I never thought I would be doing, I'm just like, okay, well, of course, it's okay for me to be here. Of course, I deserve to be here. Of course, this gets to happen. It frees up so much. And this is what I often see with heart led leaders. They're so dialed into their passion. They're so committed to their purpose, but like imposter syndrome, comparison, self-doubt, that lack of confidence, that lack of really being able to fully step into themselves, it just gets in the way. And what can then happen is a ton of life can pass you by, and then you just don't get to do that thing. It gets to be something you just talk about, and you don't actually take the action. You don't actually implement and make that change that you know that you're here for. So yeah, like this is why this juicy little bite-sized number has appeared, because I know this will resonate with many that are listening. Maybe you're further ahead in the journey than I am. Maybe you're at the same place. Maybe you're before. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's like a little twinkle. Maybe it's a little twinkle somewhere that you're thinking of. But it will resonate, it will land, because this is us in our humanness, right? Like we don't like have it all nailed, and it's a constant kind of work in progress. But where we really look at what's getting in the way, God, and we're willing to do that work, God, that we could have seismic shifts. And yeah, actually really freaking pull our seat up at the table. And in fact, with the seat analogy, I guide women that I work with. I'm like, my desire for you is that you get to like jump on a freaking chair and you shout how much you absolutely freaking love yourself without wanting to throw up or your bum clenching. And that may seem like a simple thing, but it's huge, right? Because many of us would instantly bum clench. In fact, did you listen to that and did you bum clench? Yeah, did you have us like, what? Like I want to throw up. Why would I do that? We do it because like this is the absolute like self-affirmation that we desire, right? It's not big-headed to say we're fucking amazing. It's not big-headed to say how much we absolutely love ourselves and what we bring to the world. This is how we activate change. This is how we guide others, right? Like we be the model and show what's possible. So darling ones, it really like I'm sense checking myself because I could just talk about this for hours because it's a real passion project of self-acceptance and self-allowance. Because God, have I journeyed all around with that of the who am I, to like who am I not to, who am I not to? And that's such a powerful place to get to, because that way we don't look back at the end of our years and look at the years that have floated by and live with regret and what ifs and if onlys, right? It's not about perfection. It's just about freaking owning it. Own your magnificence. Stand in your brilliance, you know, like choose yourself again and again and again, you know, like that self-belonging piece, like just saying it feels luscious. So it has been a delight to share this like little bonus, juicy. I said bite size at the beginning, probably isn't. Anyone that knows me now knows I love to talk. So yeah, it probably hasn't been a bite-sized number, but it's important, right? It's important because this is how we get the growth, by looking at the areas where things aren't things aren't happening for us, and we really have some areas that we need to shine a light on and impact some change with. If you are curious about the big shift, like check it out in the show notes. It is a beautiful, expansive program. And yeah, she's ready. She's waiting. And she is, Yeah, she's ready to hold you into deep self acceptance and like deep self allowance and the glorious, juiciest of all self belonging. And yeah, she's ready. Thank you so much for listening, dear soul. And I will catch you at the next one.